Chairman, thank you. In response to the questions that Senator Wyden raised, you indicated that you and the Director of National Intelligence have assessed that ending the bulk collection program and transferring it to the communication companies would not impede with any way of doing the necessary tracking and usage of that to reach the solution, the information that you want. But since that hasn't been done, and since we haven't really laid out a procedure, the procedures in which how we're going to do that, and we don't know exactly how it's going to be collected and so forth and so on, with a much shorter period of time of holding that information, how can you be so certain that this is not going to degrade in any way your ability to access that information?
I guess I would say I can't say anything with complete certainty, Senator, but looking at the provisions as we understood them, we believe that the legislation would have maintained the essential capability that we were requiring that we maintain.
Well, the legislation calls for a shortened period of time for holding that information. We've seen in Paris and some other instances where we need to go deeper than that in order to determine the connections in the network that we need to assess.
No, I certainly agree, but
well, then how can you say with assurance that ending that bulk collection is going to not leave you shorthanded in terms of what you need to assess?
I mean, I can't predict in the future exactly how what information requirements we would have.
Well, then how can you come to a conclusion? Don't you leave a little? Well, we're not sure, Senator, exactly how this is going to work, so we can't guarantee that it'll give us the same access as we have under the bulk collection program.
Again, I look at this in terms of capability, and my understanding of the legislation is it would have provided us with that essential capability. I'm a little bit burdened here because as NCTC Director, I follow in the footsteps of two previous NCTC directors, Mike Leiter and Matt Olson, who were distinguished national security lawyers who lived this architecture in ways that I haven't. And so I'm less in a direct position to speak on exactly how these programs work in the same way that my predecessors were.
That's why I raised a question in my mind about your answer to Senator Wyden, who I think took that as a definitive yes. I mean, the DNI thinks this is fine, and NCTC Director thinks it's fine, and therefore, why in the world would we ever question it? As you know, there's difference of opinion in the intelligence community among the different agencies as to whether or not this is the right thing to do.
I understand that, and that's why I'm relying on my experts who have assured me that this preservation of this capability gives us what we need. As with anything, it certainly involved giving and taking, give and take on particular provisions. I'd be happy to talk about it further with you in closed session, or I can come at you with
I understand, yeah, and I think we should do that, Mr. Chairman, because I think there's still some major questions that need to be resolved here. In the